Okay, so I got my slide deck here. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Now, the first thing we always go through is talking about the fundamentals of persuasive communication. And notice how I said it's not sales talk. It's persuasive communication. The key word in that is being communication. Now, the fundamentals are, number one, again, you can make up in skill what you lack in numbers. If you practice, you will get better. This is true with anything that you do. And you can make up in skill where you lack in numbers. When you're new, when you're newer, when you're not that great, because everybody starts out at everything they try new, they always suck first until they get better. But you can make up in skill where you lack in numbers, and that's where I want everybody to get. Number two is the person who asks the questions controls the conversation. You'll notice that everything I do always has a question tied to it. Typically, if it's a yes or no question, it's a no question as opposed to a yes question, just because everybody nowadays is just getting battered by yes questions. And it ties a certain feeling to it. So my focus is asking questions, asking why questions or open-ended questions, but when you ask a closed-ended question, try to do it to a no related question, like a double negative, right? Algebra, negative plus negative times a negative equals positive. You cannot change a person's perception or belief. Only they can. Think about that. When has any salesperson told you something that you're like, oh my God, you're right. I'm so glad that you called me and told me that. You have changed my life. I'm sure that somebody that's happened to, but that's like one person on the planet. You don't have a lead until you know their why and their when. Right? You have a prospect. Until you know somebody's why, until somebody knows somebody's when, you don't have a lead. And so everything that you do up until that point, any prospect that you're going to, any potential lead that you're going to reach out to, your objective is to ask questions. First and foremost is get to that why and to get that when as soon as possible. And then when in doubt, mirror their objection as a question or mirror their question as a question, right? Because this is something that you could actually build drama in. This is something how you can control a conversation, or it's something that you can just actually buy time. There is going to be some time where a conversation is going down a certain path and they might say something that you don't know how to respond to. And now you have to start moving left and moving right and trying to restructure the conversation into something more suitable for what you want to deal with. And the best way to do that is when in doubt, just mirror what they just said in the frame of a question. And for the most part, they'll just continue talking. People love talking. Okay, so guys, we're going to go over some objections today that are on this week's role-playing schedule. First, before I get started, if any of you have any questions, if you guys want to chime in, I have everyone muted. If you want to talk, hold down the space bar, and that's going to unmute you. It's like a walkie-talkie. Now, I want to take some time, and I want to answer any questions or help you guys work through something that you're doing. So anyone who's on right now, do you have any questions? Do you have any objections that are coming up that you need some help with? Because I may or may not be covering that today. Anyone? I'll give you guys a few minutes to answer. Anyone? No? Awesome. So I'm just going to kind of move into this. So the first objection that we're going to go over, why should I hire you? Or same thing as why should I list with you? One of which is just, why should I hire you might be for a buyer orientation. It might be for a listing presentation. It's more of a general statement. Or why should I list with you? Now, preferably I would if for most real estate agents, right? Everybody has their own different niche. I hope everyone has their own different niche, different marketplace, but there's a universal truth out there is that those who control the listings control the market. Okay, so I hope that this is an objection that you guys are getting with why should I list with you, not why should I buy with you. But we're going to go with this. So why should I list with you? Why should I buy with you? The key with this is this gives you an opportunity for closing for the appointment, right? Now, I'm going to assume that this is for an appointment, and then maybe we'll go for the listing presentation. So if you're closing for an appointment, the lister, the seller, says, you know what, Brett? I've been meeting with some agents, been meeting with a lot of agents. Why should I list with you? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that's actually a really great question. Now, I have a complete marketing plan. I'd love to share with you my experience. Would you be available for 30 or 40 minutes this week so that we can get together and I can share with you how exactly I can get your home sold in the fastest amount of time for the most money? Would you be open to doing that? Okay, guys, now notice what I did, right? I didn't go for the salesy hard close, right? Hey, that's a great question. Would you like to meet Wednesday at 1:30 or would Thursday at 2 o'clock work? Who does that nowadays, right? I mean, that is not normal communication, right? And when you start breaking out of a normal communication, now I say normal communication is the communication that allows you to build rapport to where somebody feels like you're a friend. You have that friend rapport, right? If you go in hard and you go in guns a-blazing and they say, hey, why should I hire you? And you go, hey, that's a great question. When can we meet? Monday at 1 or Wednesday at 3:30? And then silence, you're going to do more harm than good, right? Because that is outside normal communication parameters. So what you do is you go for a micro commitment, right? You go halfway. You go to a half commitment. It's like, hey, why should I list with you? You know, Mr. and Ms. Seller, that's really a great question. I have a complete marketing plan. I've been doing this for a really long time. It's not one of those things I can really answer to you on the phone, but would you be available for 30 or 40 minutes this week so that we can meet and I can share with you exactly what I do to get homes sold? Would you be open to that? Now, notice how I asked a question. I asked them the question, and then I said, would you be open to that? Would you be available to do that, right? Instead of just saying, I have, that's a great question. I have a complete marketing plan. I've been doing this a long time. Would you be available to meet sometime this week, right? That's like a hard statement. And to make it a little bit softer, you just say, would you be open to that? Would you be willing to do that? Would your calendar, would your schedule permit you to do things like that? No, Brett, I'm really, really busy. Absolutely, I totally understand it. We don't have to meet in person if it would be more convenient to you. I do a lot of presentations nowadays on the Zoom platform. Would you be open to meeting, from your work, from your home, just on a Zoom? Well, yeah, I might be willing to do that, right? So look what I did there, guys. I went for the face-to-face appointment, right? They shot me down. I'm not going to go any harder than that because in normal communication, if you just keep closing, ABC, always be closing. I think the traditional way of looking at sales is that always, oops, I didn't resume the share. Always be closing is always one of those things that's just hard, right? It's just hard in your face. They something, you say something back. They something, you say something back. They something, you say something back. And the truth of it is, being in the position that you're in, you're going to lose because that person's going to get to the point where they get annoyed by you and they're just going to agree just to get you off the phone. Some of us might just hang up on the person, right? But then the person who does that is just going to call them back, right? And then they're going to get that direct, hey man, I'm not interested in working with you. Please don't ever call me again. You don't ever want to get to that point. So the techniques that we talk about on here is meant to be, I say persuasive communication, but it's only persuasive because you're using the same communication patterns as you would in a normal conversation. Well, a little more different level. I mean, we are sales professionals, right? So why should I list for you? That's a great question. Acknowledge that they said it. You could say that's an interesting question. whatever. Just acknowledge that they said something. If it sounds natural, just tell them how awesome it is. That's an awesome question. You know, what I'd like to do. Now you're going into solving the problem, right? We're salespeople. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make. So why should I list with you? That's a great question. You know, what I'd like to do is I have a complete marketing plan that I've fine-tuned over the last 21 years. It's helped me sell over 1,000 homes across the country. Now, would you be willing to meet with me for 30 or 40 minutes this week, today? Would you be willing to meet with me in the next couple of days? You know, use your time frame, set the parameters, and sit down with me so that I can share with you exactly what I do to get homes sold. Would you be open to that? Well, you know, they might say yes, okay? So be prepared to say yes. If they say, no, I'm busy, which is probably the most probable question or response, is, look, I totally get it. A lot of people are busy. We're living in a real freaky environment. Notice how I'm acknowledging what they say. How about this? Again, if you're open to it, instead of meeting in person, I do a lot of presentations via Zoom just to share with you the information. Do you have some time where you can just set aside, you know, we don't have to meet in person, just meet on Zoom. Would that work better for you? Now, at this point, all I did is restructure what I said. At this point, I call it a fallback, right? So you're going for the face-to-face, you're doing a fallback. Now, if they still say, no, I'm really busy, now what you do is say, look, I totally get it. Would it be all right for you then if I follow up with you, if I send you some information by email? Look, you want to make sure that you're getting their permission. Don't just leave it there, right? Don't leave things to the abyss. Don't leave things to, I'll get to it when I get to it. Schedule a micro commitment with them, right? A micro appointment. Say, look, okay, I totally get it. You're completely busy. Is it okay if I send you some information for you to review and then maybe just follow up with you in the afternoon on Tuesday? Would that be okay? Most people will say yes. Now, you're going to get those people that say no. You're always going to get those people that say no. Accept that fact. But most people will say yes because it's, you know, you're doing the fallback. You go for the highest quality of appointment. You break it down. You fall back to the next best option. And then you break it down to a third option. Going back to always be closing, you are closing. You did 3 different closes, right? There's a chance that they're going to say no to each one, but now it might be more of a condition and it might not be an objection. But you're only going to get that through Q&A. So there's that. Why should I hire you? Why should I list with you? I want to pause here and give you guys time to ask some questions. Anyone has any questions? Just go ahead and hold down the space bar or unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Okay. Good morning, Katya.
So, good morning. So tell me the difference. So what is a condition? Give me a few conditions.
A condition is that I was going to move because I was going to have a job transfer, but now I didn't get the job. That's a condition, right?
Okay.
I can't meet with you because I broke my leg. That's a condition.
Okay.
I couldn't make our appointment because I wrecked my car.
Okay.
Right? Those are things that are not objections. Those are actual factual things that just can't happen.
Yeah. So when you have a condition, then you would just try to get a micro commitment because you want the condition to take its course, correct?
Yes and no, depending on the condition. I mean, it might be a condition that totally eliminates this person from being a lead to you, right?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to sell my house because I'm 20% undervalued if I sold it right now, right? No matter how much you're going to follow up with that person until the value reaches a certain point or the pain reaches a certain point, they're not just going to cut and run. Okay, but that example would lead to another question. Well, what would you do if your home continued to lose value? Would you just stay where you're at, or would you, bite the bullet and just take your losses? No, I'd stay here, and I'm never going to move until I would just never move. I would die in my home, right? Guys, you guys are going to hear this in real estate. You are going to hear people saying, I own this home and I'm going to die in this home. Not a good lead. Not a good lead, right? ideally, when you guys are looking for leads, 30, 60, 90, right? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. If you guys look at my pipeline, and this is true with any sales organization, you're looking 30, 60, 90 plus, right? The ones that the lower number always gets the most activity. And this is something you have to gauge. This is something that you have to gauge. What is a 30-day listing? Right now, when I have a good conversation with someone, they always go into my 30 pile because I'm pretty gnarly. I'm working that lead until they tell me something that it's going to push it past that 30-day mark. Right? So I get the same objection from real estate agents all the time. Talk to me at the first of the year. Right? I'm not going to consider any move until the first of the year. So what am I going to say? Oh, that's interesting. So if you couldn't make more money, if you couldn't double your production from this time to the end of the year than you did last year, you would just stay where you're at? You wouldn't want that extra money? Well, that's not what I said. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, right? And the same thing with the seller. We want to wait until the first of the year. Okay, well, do you know what's going on with the market? No, what's going on with the market? Well, there's some really crazy things going on in the market. Right now, you can sell your home. There's a probability that you're going to sell your home for the most money in the history of forever. Forever. Talking like from the beginning of time, your house hasn't been worth so much. But if you wait till the first of the year, it's possible. It's possible that you're gambling with your equity and there's a 50-50 chance that you can make about the same amount of money or you can start chasing the market down. So what do you want to do? Why do you want to wait till the first of the year? Now, because I'm teaching, guys, I'm being a lot more direct than what I would normally do in a regular conversation. I'd be a little bit more suave. I'd be more communication oriented. But I do this so direct so that you guys kind of get the whole point, right? Okay, so moving on. Resume the share, and we want to think it over. Boy, if I had $1 for every time somebody wanted to think it over, I'd be a rich man. So look, guys, we have to really kind of go into what the consumer's journey is and what the consumer's behavior is, okay? So you have to look at things from the eyes of the consumer, not from the eyes of getting a deal done, okay? It's about them. It's not about you, okay? Any one of you, this is me, right? This is my personality. This is my wife's personality. This is, this is a lot of people's personality, is that I'm not committing to nothing on the first call. I don't kiss on the first date, right? You tell me what it is. You tell me the information I want. Give me the information I need to start doing my own discovery and let me think on it, right? You can't come to me at a hard question on a yes or no, right? The colder your prospect is, the colder the lead is, the more discovery they have to do and the more information they have to seek before they make a decision. Now, I want you to think about this. This is the consumer's journey. There's a point in time where somebody is comfortable speaking with you. There's a point in time where you're comfortable speaking with somebody. Then there's a point in time, it could be days, weeks, months, or years. Then there's a point in time where you're thinking about doing something. That period in between is what I call the discovery period, okay? This is where you and I, whether we're buying a car, whether we're going to a restaurant, whether we're looking for shoes, doesn't matter. This is where we pull out our phone and go to Google and start Googling things. And we get that immediate response, right? I remember the days when I had to go to like 5 different libraries and look at 10 different versions of an encyclopedia and actually start doing research now that I can get the actual answer from Google in a microsecond, right? It's like crazy, but it changed the way consumers behave. Nobody's going to make a decision until they have a comfortable set of information so they feel comfortable. Now, different personalities act differently. I'm an analytical. My base personality is an analytical. I process things, right? Drivers, expressives. Expressives make decisions really quick. They're like, okay, yeah, I heard that. Good, let's do that, right? So there's a lot of things that go into it, but just accept the fact we want to think about it is not necessarily a blow-off. It could be a blow-off, but it's not necessarily a blow-off. And you're likely going to get this, the colder the lead or the prospect, the more likely you're going to get this at the beginning. You just got to work through it. Here's how you work through it. Yeah, I totally get it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to think about it. And if you don't mind me asking, see, softener, if you don't mind me asking, if I didn't put that in there, I'm being very intrusive. Now, if you don't mind me asking, if you're looking to sell your home, what is it that you think you need to think about? What is it that you need to think about? What is it that you need to think that you think about? Something like that, right? What is it that you need to think about? Right? Well, we don't know if we want to sell this home. Well, we don't know if it's the right time. You got to find out what it is that they need to think about. Now, this could be a blow off, and by you asking that question, you're going to come to the fact that, I just need to think about it. Okay, what is it that you need to think about? Well, I just need to think about it. Okay, cool. Is it the timing? Is that what you need to think about? No, it's not the timing. I just need to think about it. Well, is it the market? Is it where the prices are at? Now you're playing like 20 questions, right? But, and you only play 20 questions if you feel that you have rapport. Remember, you're in rapport. They feel that you're in rapport if you feel comfortable. The colder the contact, the less rapport you have, right? So it's not, you don't build rapport in 30 seconds. You build rapport over several communications. So we want to think about it, think it over. Hey, look, I totally get it. You want to think it over. If you don't mind me asking, what is it that's kind of stopping you? What is it that you have questions about that I might be able to help you think about? Well, I don't necessarily think it's the right time. Well, my kid goes to school, whatever it is, and say, oh, I totally get it. Well, how about I do this? Would it be okay if I sent you over information that would allow you to get information on that? And then could I follow up with you maybe on Thursday afternoon? Would that be okay for you? Yeah, that would be okay for me. Terrific. Let me confirm your email. I have it as this, or hey, let me get your email. I'll send it right over in the next 5 minutes. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you do a micro commitment, here's where a lot of people make the mistake. If you do a micro commitment and you say you're going to call someone at Thursday afternoon, Thursday at 1, and you don't do it, wow, you just lost credibility. Okay? Now you just made your job harder. Because when you call them on Friday, whatever excuse that you're giving, they're going to well, you didn't, they're going to blow it off like it's no big deal, but it is a big deal because you just showed that you didn't do what you said that you were going to do. Now, you might get their voicemail. That's on them. They may not want to take your call. They gave you permission to call. That's the whole point of this. They gave you permission to call. Call them in the time or the time frame that you said that you were going to call them in, and leave a message. Then send a text message, right? Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Brett at Keller Williams Irvine. I hope you're doing well. Hey, we spoke back on Tuesday. I sent you over some information to help you kind of, look at your, come to a decision on your situation. You said it was okay to call you back at this time, so wanted to reach out to you. Please give me a call back at your earliest availability. I'm at your phone number. And then you text them. Hi, Mr. Seller. This is Brett. I just left you a message. You said it was okay to call you at this time. Do you have some time to talk later today? Now, you might get a response back. You might not get a response back. 50-50 chance, right? That's how people communicate, right? So, guys, it's 8:55. I'm opening, so this one. What is it that you guys have any questions on this? I want to think it over. Okay, so today I'm actually going to be ending on time, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there. I do wanna share with you guys some of the things that we're gonna be going over. I'm gonna try and go on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of the detail or the depth that I wanna go in on these objections to help you guys understand them, right? Me just sharing with you just the words on how to do an objection is not going to do you guys any service. You have to understand the fundamentals of communication, and that's what we're talking about, right? So that's why I break them down. So each day within a 30-minute time period so we can get ready for the role playing, I'll break down, 2 or 3 time permitting. But here are the ones that I have for the slide deck that I'll go over on Thursday. I'll pay you a commission if you bring me a buyer. Yeah, you get that a lot, especially if you're calling it for sale by owner. That objection comes up probably 8 or 9 times out of 10. I'm going to sell my home next year. Okay, we kind of went over that a little bit on the first objection, but we're going to go over that. And then here's one that I'm going to try and get to on Thursday. my friend is an agent and they said that help me find a local agent and get a referral. You know, guys, don't get mad at this. You know that I know that you know that if you had a friend that was in a different state that was wanting to buy or sell a house and they called you, that you're going to say, hey, let me help you find an agent. And, you know, and they'll actually, you know, I'll interview them for you. I'll find the agent for you and I'll get a referral fee in return. Would you be okay with that? You know, you're going to do that. I'm going to do that. Don't get mad at the other person who's going to do it. Be that person that just says, hey, I'm happy to talk to your agent, your friend. Can I get their number? Call them. Chances are you'll get that referral. Getting some commission is better than getting no commission. Not to mention you have an advocate on your side that is going to be working with you on validating your service. So guys, with that said, in closing, nobody ever gets better at anything without practice. You guys hear me say this. I always say this. The process that I always use is learn, practice, teach. Okay? Learning, that's what you guys are doing right here, right? You're learning a new way of doing it. Practice, you know, shadow box, chant it. Role play with yourself. I always do that. Then role play with a partner. Then start teaching it. Once you can teach something to somebody of a different personality and they can understand it, you're going to see your skill level just go through the roof. I promise you that. That's why I do this group, among other things. So guys, with that said, thank you so much for showing up. I want you guys to have a fantastic day. All right, guys, have an awesome day. I will talk to you guys Thursday. Bye.